How's it going, everyone? This is Maximilian, and welcome to the second part of the Capcom roster changelog for the original characters in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. We'll be covering all the remaining characters in this episode, so let's get things started. First up is Jill Valentine. So Jill didn't receive many changes in this version. All of her attacks now float a little bit higher, and they slightly decrease the forward moving range of her crouching medium. This move was actually a really good slide, and now its range has been slightly nerfed. They also reduced the hitbox sizes on all of her jumping attacks, but it's been revealed several times by Seth Killian that Jill had some technology that never really got explored because she wasn't heavily used. Up next, we got the classic Karate Man, Ryu. So Ryu has received a metric ton of new changes to make him a more effective character. He can now properly wave dash a bit quicker, and he can act immediately after dashing. The minimum damage scaling on all of his normal attacks has also been increased, and the collarbone breaker, aka forward medium, can now be cancelled. You can cancel it into specials, or you can also cancel it into his standing S for a launcher. They also gave him the new moves Ren Hadoken, Baku Hadoken, and Hado Shoryuken, and one's a gigantic invisible fireball explosion, one is a multiple hitting like 5-time regular fireball, and the Hado Shoryuken has a ton of invincibility at the start, and the fireballs will actually follow him upwards with the Shoryuken. He also got a new move called Hado Kakse, and during Hado Kakse it's a super, and Shinku Hadouken also becomes buffed out, and it becomes the Shin Hadoken and repels off the wall. And the Shinku Tatsumaki Senpyaku now becomes the Shin Tatsumaki Senpyaku, and is much bigger, does way more damage, and the vacuum effect is absolutely huge. So Ryu got quite a few buffs, and he does great damage in this game, and he's going to be probably a very well-rounded character. Up next is the Mayor of Earth itself, Mike Haggar. So Haggar got some more tools to make him a more effective solo character, it looks like. His crouching heavy now causes a knockdown, and his crouching heavy can now also hit off the ground, and this can lead to some pretty devious mix-ups if you set things up right. He also falls faster after an air throw to the ground, and they decreased the initial startup invincibility of his assist, which is the double lariat. And as you guys know, the lariat was an amazing move in the original Marvel vs. Capcom 3 as an assist. And now the invincibility is practically gone, and it doesn't cause a hard knockdown anymore, so that assist is not that great in this one. They also added some invincibility to his rapid fire fist super, and you can see that this is pretty apparent with the footage here. Up next we have Chun-Li. So Chun-Li got some pretty unique adjustments. Her medium and crouching medium can now be jump cancelled, and this is really crazy for mid-combo, because this is going to be some insane mix-ups. Yoso Kyaku can now hit off the ground, and this is her, I think it's down medium in the air. Following up with the additional combo afterwards is going to require some specific timing, but the fact that she now has a proper OTG is very useful. They slightly increased the priority of Haikret Syaku, and they slightly adjusted the Kikonen cannon so that it's easier to perform when it causes the crumple state. This move was actually kind of hard to pull off in the original, and it's much better now. They decreased the startup of Tensho Kyaku, and this move got extremely fast because of this. They also increased the untechable time from the last hit of Tensho Kyaku, so it gives you a better opportunity for mix-ups afterwards now. You can also act after the air version of Tensho Kyaku, and they lowered the arc of the light version as well. She also got the new move EX Spinning Bird Kick, and by activating this you essentially hold down the motion, which is holding down charge, and as soon as she lights up, the EX Spinning Bird Kick comes out and it has a ton of invincibility, but you really can't follow up for much afterwards. Up next was one of the best anchor characters in the original game, and it's Akuma. So Akuma received a slight health decrease. He now has 750,000. They also decreased the priority of his spin kicks, the Tatsumaki Zenpyaku. And you'll notice this a little bit against fighting Akuma, that they don't actually hit with the priority of the previous game. They increased the horizontal knockback of this move as well, but now they gave him the ability to pull off his demon flip in the air, and this can be great for mobility, great for combos, as one causes a fireball, one causes a ground bounce, and one causes a dive kick. And this is going to be a great move for Akuma's arsenal as a solo character. Next up is one of the more difficult to use but powerful characters in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and it's C.VIPER. C.VIPER didn't receive that many adjustments in Ultimate. They increased the feint input timing very slightly for the light and medium versions of her Thunder Knuckle, and they also decreased the forward moving range of the medium Thunder Knuckle. The range just isn't nearly as effective as the first game. The untechable time from Thunder Knuckle Heavy also decreases with combo length now, so some of the stuff you might have seen with some certain infinite combos in the first game can't be done anymore. And they also gave her a brand new move, which is the Optic Laser, which is eerily similar to that of the Optic Blast from Cyclops. You pull this off by pressing a button, and then after a couple of seconds, her glasses will charge up and you can release it. Besides the ground pound, this is one of the only other moves Viper has for distance play. Up next, we have the Master of Special Moves, Dante. So Dante got quite a few adjustments because he was such an effective character in the first one. They increased the knockback for all of his moves, as well as the hit stun time and the float heights for all of those moves. They also decreased the minimum damage scaling on normal and special attacks, and the hitbox size of light and medium was also decreased. However, you can still pull off some of his more extended bold cancel and teleport combos, but they're just more difficult to do now. They're kind of become character specific, and the time of which they float in the middle of the combo is really depending on how the other character reacts. They also lowered the float off of Clay Pigeon, and they decreased the cancel time during the startup of Bold move. Also, if you had any of his special attacks in the first one, you had to do double joystick motions in order to enable that attack. Well, they made that a lot easier in this one. Doing things like the hammer or acid rain became much easier because you literally do the motion once and then press the button one more time to get that special. They increased the invincibility frame startup on the hammer, but it's still a pretty effective move. It's just not as abusable as the first game. They decreased the damage from Volcano, converting to Beehive, and they slightly increased the horizontal knockback amount from Beehive. And during Devil Trigger, this also received quite a bit of a buff. Dante can now triple jump during Devil Trigger, and he can double air dash, so who knows what kind of unique combos that's going to set up. And since we're on the subject of Devil May Cry, let's talk about Trish. A pretty unique buff she received is that she can now combo medium to crouching medium into either crouching heavy or standing heavy. So this little bit of a chain has now been adjusted. She can also now perform the trick moves, which is hopscotch and peekaboo, or round trip only once per jump. So if you actually go into flight, you can adjust this, and it's kind of similar to how Phoenix has to work around using her specials in the air now. They decreased the total frames of air raid, and the air version of Maximum Voltage can now hit off the ground, and this can be very effective because the methods of which you set it up, and if you Tiger Knee it off the ground, it can do very good damage. Up next is Viewtiful Joe. Joe got an interesting buff, and it's that his hittable area while in the air was reduced, so essentially his hitbox is smaller when he's in the air. They also increased the priority of his jumping special, which hits multiple times, and they also increased the range of his normal throws, but this is a very minor adjustment. The total frames of the Shocking Pink special was also reduced, and Shocking Pink will no longer explode when sliding between buttons, and it can also not be juggled. They gave him a new move, which is the V-Dodge, and by pressing attack and special, Viewtiful Joe will use his dodge move similar to his original game, and this completely misses all attacks. I tried in some situations, and even with Gravity Squeeze, he almost misses it, but just not barely. His Hyper Air Desperado can also now be hit off the ground. Next up is everyone's lovable wolf god, Amaterasu. So Amaterasu received a pretty big nerf for her part, and it's that the air blocking that you can no longer do in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 while air dashing will hit her pretty hard. But they also decreased the hit stun time on all of her normal attacks, which include light, medium, and heavy, and they decreased the hitbox size of her medium and crouching medium, but they increased the active frames of crouching medium. The stance change is also now possible in mid-air, and this might be a good move to use if you want to possibly get out of your air dash and you see something bad about to happen. You can cancel it into the stance change, which makes it pretty useful. They increase the active frames off of the charged Thunder Edge, and the sword portion of Glaive Chop now also causes a knockdown, but they decreased the untechable time for her Cold Star assist, and this was an extremely effective assist, and it still is in this one, but it's just not as good. And that just about wraps things up for all the vanilla roster characters in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. If you all would like, stay tuned because there's going to be a special demonstration video for the entire Capcom side of the cast, showing how mashing on supers affects the overall damage output. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.